I'd like to call to order this
Recording
meeting
in progress.
of the Regional Planning Commission for Friday, November 19th. Let me clear my screen here. 2021. Could we have a roll call vote? A roll call. Please call the roll.
Yes, Mayor Finan.
Here.
Christopher Walton.
Here.
Mayor Smith. Patrick Brown.
Here.
Mary Alice Wu.
Here.
Darlene Kleppel.
Here.
Kyle Patterson.
Here.
Jim Goss. Tom Bruno.
Here.
Katina Wilcher.
Here.
Thank you. And Mayor Marlin.
Here. Next up is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, you have to identify yourself.
Darlene.
Darlene moved.
Second, Christopher.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Finan.
Yes.
Christopher Walton.
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Patrick Brown.
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu.
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel.
Yes.
Kyle Patterson.
Yes.
Jim Goss. Tom Bruno.
Yes.
And Katina Wilcher.
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion passes. Next item is audience participation. Is there anyone wishing to address this meeting of the Regional Planning Commission? I'm not seeing anyone. Do you see anyone, Debbie?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to minutes. We need to approve the draft meeting minutes from August 27th, 2021. Do I hear a motion to approve the RPC draft meeting minutes?
Tom Bruno, so moves.
Mary Alice goes second.
Moved by Tom Bruno, seconded by Mary Alice. Any discussion on that? Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Finan.
Yes.
Christopher Walton.
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Patrick Brown.
Sorry
Mary Alice Wu.
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel.
Yes.
Kyle Patterson.
Yes.
Jim Goss.
Yes.
Tom Bruno.
Yes.
And Katina Wilcher.
Yes.
And Mayor Marlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion passes. Next item is consolidated financial reports. Betty Murphy.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So you have the consolidated financial reports for August, September, and October 2021. The fund balance at the end of August, 16.4 million. Our receivables were just shy of 800,000. In September, 16.3 million. Receivables much higher at 1.3 million. Not unusual given the volume. And then in October, 16.1 with receivables again higher at 1.4. The RPC continues to be in a very strong financial position.
Thank you. Any questions for Betty? Okay. Could we have a motion to approve the consolidated financial reports for August, September, and October 2021?
So moved, Darlene.
Is there a second?
Second by Tom Bruno.
Moved by Darlene, seconded by Tom. Any discussion? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Finan.
Yes.
Christopher Walton.
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Patrick Brown.
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu.
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel.
Yes.
Kyle Patterson.
Yes.
Jim Goss.
Yes.
Tom Bruno.
Yes.
Katina Wilcher.
Yes.
And Mayor Marlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion passes. Next item is the list of bills. Betty Murphy.
Sure. So as you can see from your packet, and Debbie was kind enough to print out the entire packet for me, but the The list of expenditure detail that you were provided is extensive and consistent with the volume of client assistance that we've been experiencing since August. There were actually 241 double-sided pages of expenditure detail. So the staff has been really, extremely busy in processing client assistance payments. So again, the volume is high. There is nothing unusual to report, and all the expenditures are appropriate and fully compliant.
Technical questions for Betty. Okay, could I get a motion to approve? Oh,
So
I'm
moved,
sorry, a motion
Christopher.
to accept and place on file the list of bills. Is that Christopher?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Darlene.
Seconded, Darlene. Any further discussion? I just want to say thank you to the staff for the processing, the overwhelming amount of work involved in processing these payments. All those, let's see. Could we have a roll call vote then?
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Christopher Walton,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Gloss,
Yes.
Tom Bruno,
Yes.
Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Mayor Marlin.
Yes.
Thank
That
you.
motion passes. Our first action item is appointment of community member Kelly Ray Blandon, and she's with us today. Just as a way of introducing her, she grew up in, she taught in Racine, Wisconsin in a Title I school that was 90% minority students. She moved with her family to Champaign County, worked as a counselor at Urbana High School for 5 years. She now works as Assistant Director of Education at WILL, works with Head Start in that capacity. She has 2 kids in Urbana School, at Urbana Middle School, Urbana High School. Her volunteer service includes the Urbana Middle School PTA, Urbana High School PTSA, treasurer of the swim team. She helps her husband coach Little League football. She's a youth coordinator for Cuba Fest, worked with Pastor Willie Comer as the teen mom coordinator in Youth for Christ, worked with LaShondra Cunningham on Jetty Roads Day. She's a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and they moved to Urbana so her daughter could attend King School. So I'd like to give Kelly a chance to introduce herself, add anything, and I just want to say welcome. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Good morning, everyone. She kind of gave you the rundown. I am just happy to be here. I absolutely love Champaign, Urbana. We moved here in 2006, and I tell people, I chuckle because my husband's originally from Danville, and he said, just give it a try. We'll come down and work a summer program, and then we'll go back to Wisconsin. Well, we never left. So it's been our home, and we definitely love this community, both Champaign and Urbana. We're heavily involved, and I'm just glad to be able to serve and do what I can. Thank you.
Many people come and they stay. So we track people. Okay, could I have a motion for appointing Ms. Kelly Ray Blandon as the newest Regional Planning Commission community member?
I'll make that motion, Wilcher. Welcome, Kelly.
Moved by
Second,
Katina,
Darlene.
seconded by Darlene. Any further discussion? Okay. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Christopher Walton,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Gloss,
Yes.
Tom Bruno,
Yes.
Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Mayor Marlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you to the nominating committee. I think we were extremely successful. Next item is a approval of the fiscal year 21 budget amendment, BA 075-914, which is the Urbana ARPA management contract. Betty?
Yeah, so this budget amendment will accommodate a new contract with the city of Urbana to support project and fiscal management of Urbana's approximately $13 million ARPA allocation. RPC staff, as you know, have significant experience in managing federal grants. And so this project is consistent with our ability to assist the city of Urbana and tailor their ARPA allocations according to their priority areas. So the project and fiscal management will include developing an overall strategy for one-time ARPA investments, defining those focus areas that are consistent with federal guidance, and also developing metrics that will assess successful achievement of long-term beneficial outcomes in the community. Staff will also help to develop an online proposal template for prospective applicants, and they'll research alternative funding sources to ensure that we're appropriately leveraging projects. We'll also prepare monthly project and fiscal reports internally, and also federal reports externally, consistent with the relief funding and demonstrating the city of Urbana's progress toward achieving fair and equitable results with this ARPA funding. So I request your approval of this budget amendment for FY21.
Is there a motion?
I'll move approval. This is Mary Alice.
Tom Bruno, second.
Moved by Mary Alice, seconded by Tom Bruno. Any further discussion? I just want to say, again, special appreciation to RPC for your assistance. This supplements our staff's ability to manage these funds responsibly. Will we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Christopher Walton,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Goss,
Yes.
Tom Bruno,
Yes.
Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
Kelly Ray Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Marlin.
Yes,
Thank you.
that motion passes. Next item is approval of the Head Start, Early Head Start Expansion Continuation Funding Applications for grant year March 1st, 2022 through February 28th, 2023. Brandy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome, Kelly. It is that time of year for our program to submit the continuation grant applications for the next grant year, which is March 1, 2022 through February 28, 2023. In your packet, I included the budgets for Early Head Start and Early Head Start Expansion, as well as the supporting documents required for the applications. It is our intent to maintain the 5 centers at Champaign, Rantoul, Savoy, Urbana, and West Champaign, along with the 6 family child care provider partnerships and home-based programming to support the funded enrollment for 666 infants, toddlers, preschoolers, pregnant women, and their families. The total budget for each of those grants for Head Start, the program operations is $3,485,501, with training and technical assistance being $39,051. For Early Head Start, and that would be 141 children and pregnant women, the total program operations would be $2,187,112, with training and technical assistance being $47,534. For Early Head Start Expansion, with a funded enrollment of 90, the program operations that we're requesting is $1,953,069 and $45,944 for training and technical assistance. In addition, I'm requesting a waiver for the 20% non-federal share based on the challenges we continue to face with COVID-19. And this does not go against our applications at all. This is completely allowable. At this time, I'm requesting your support and approval to submit the grant applications and the required documents for Head Start, Early Head Start, and Early Head Start Expansion.
Any questions for Brandy on this? Okay, could we have a motion for approval?
I'll make that motion, Wilcher.
Moved by Katina, second.
Second, Mayor Smith.
seconded by Chuck Smith. Any discussion? Could you please call the roll?
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Christopher Walton,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Goss,
Yes.
Tom Bruno,
Yes.
Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
Kelly Ray Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Marlin.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item is approval to submit a one-time disability waiver to the Office of Head Start for the program year September 1st, 2020 to August 31st, 2021. Randy?
Thank you, Mayor Marlin. In your packet is the one-time disability waiver request to submit to the Office of Head Start for the program year September 1st, 2020 to August 31st, 2021. As of August 31st, 2021, the total percentage of children with a diagnosed disability was 8.3%, which did not meet the 10% enrollment requirement for children with a disability. Despite the efforts to recruit and identify children with a diagnosed disability, there were several factors that contributed to the low numbers, such as low enrollment, ineligibility for support services, and incomplete evaluations due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This request does not count against the program in any way. I'm requesting your support and approval to submit the one-time disability waiver.
Any questions for Brandy? Okay, could we have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion, Mayor Smith.
Second, Wilcher.
Moved by Mayor Smith, seconded by Katina Wilcher. Any discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Christopher Walton,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Goss,
Yes.
Tom Bruno,
Yes.
Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
Kelly Ray Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Marlin.
Yes. Next item is approval of the fiscal year 22 final budget compensation adjustments. DeLizzo and Ben.
Thank you, Mayor, Madam Chair, and members of the Commission. Good morning. As you may recall, back in August, we presented to you the preliminary FY 2022 budget, which did not have our compensation plan, which we plan to present to you this morning. There is a memo included in the packet explaining the compensation plan that will be part of the FY 2022 budget. But with the details to that, I'm going to ask Betty Murphy to walk you through what's contained within the package itself. So, Betty?
Sure. So consistent with the Employers Association recommendation, and they survey public sector employers throughout East Central and Central Illinois, we're recommending a 3% increase to our non-bargaining unit salary ranges for both exempt and non-exempt positions. And their recommendation, this 3% allows us to move toward external equity and to remain competitive in attracting and retaining a highly qualified workforce, while also taking into consideration our funding and other organizational needs. It might be noted that we currently have over 43 vacancies right now, so it's a very tight labor market. Consistent with our annual performance review process and our continued focus on achievement and productivity, we're also recommending, consistent with our personnel policy, targeted merit increases. So merit awards can be either merit to base, which are permanent increases, or merit one time. One-time merit awards allow us to recognize those staff that have achieved a significant accomplishment in the past year. Perhaps they are at the maximum of their salary range, or their program budget may be more restricted. As you know, we are fully grant funded. So one-time merit awards are awarded as a lump sum in December prior to the close of the fiscal year, and These funds have already been included in the approved FY21 budget. So 84 staff are recommended to receive one-time merit awards ranging from $500 to $8,000. This was an extraordinary year for the staff in terms of funding and achievement. And so we believe, based on the director's recommendations for individual staff, that these merit awards are warranted. The Employers Association, back to their compensation plans for FY22, we're recommending movement to the minimum, which is 0.208% or $14,818. Movement of the staff to comparability in the new ranges, which is 1.38% or $98,716. Merit to base, which is 0.74 or $53,180. Merit one time, which is out of the FY21 budget, is $252,350. So the overall 2022 permanent pay adjustments, excluding the one-time merit, totals 2.34% for the staff. The Employers Association also recommended that we set aside an additional 2 to 2.5% in the FY22 budget for unanticipated market adjustments due to continuing, minimum wage increases and the inflationary impact of the ongoing labor shortage. So we have requested a 2.5% retention reserve set aside in that budget, totaling $140,794 or 1.97%. And so that will depend in FY22 if we can move forward with that retention based on funding in the subsequent year. So we request your final approval of the FY22 budget, the FY22 salary ranges, and the compensation adjustments that were identified in the memo.
Any questions for Betty? All right, seeing none, could we have a motion?
Make the motion. Mayor Smith.
Moved by Mayor Smith, second.
Second by Mary Alice.
Seconded by Mary Alice. Any further discussion? Okay, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Christopher Walton,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Goss,
Yes.
Tom Bruno,
Yes.
Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
Kelly Ray Blandon,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin.
Yes,
Thank you.
that motion passes. Do we have a motion to approve the proposed 2022 meeting calendar?
So moved, Christopher.
Second, Darlene.
Moved by Christopher, seconded by Darlene. Any discussion? We have a roll call vote, please.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Christopher Walton,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Goss,
Yes.
Tom Bruno,
Yes.
Tina Wilcher,
Yes.
Kelly Ray Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Marlin.
Yes, I
Thank you.
apologize. I didn't give Delitzo a chance to introduce this item. Was there anything to say about it?
No, Mayor, I think it's
Okay.
fine. Yeah,
Thank you. Just went straight to the motion. Next up is Head Start, Early Head Start report and other comments. Brandy?
Since the last time we met, the Early Childhood Division has had some successes and challenges that I'd like to share with you today. Last year, our program was awarded funding from the Illinois Head Start Association to create parent cafes, which would be led by parents These cafes provided a space for parents to network, learn, and share from each other. Each month, there was a new topic for parents to discuss, such as leadership through crisis and parenting during a pandemic. Since last year, we've had over 60 parents participating and asking for more networking sessions for these cafes. It is our intent to continue those cafes and continue lifting up our families. Our management team and full staff have been providing professional development and learning opportunities surrounding diversity, inclusion, equality, and equity. We've provided space for crucial conversations by establishing a psychological safety. The management team completed book studies on white fidelity and other books also related to diversity and inclusion. We conducted several management professional development days surrounding equity in leadership, such as diversity, inclusion, equality, and equity. What's the difference? Positive work environments, learning into equity, and supporting cultural authenticity in the early childhood classrooms. Our team also made conscious efforts this year to listen to staff concerns to make decisions based on their individual needs instead of past practices and policies, reviewed our educational materials, and discussed if we were unintentionally promoting stereotypes in the classrooms and how we could meet grade requirements without culturally incompetence, reviewed policies and procedures for non-bias and equity, discussed and reflected on the roots of why Head Start exists and how we can go back to the foundational mission and vision to provide better services. We started to flush out, reflect, and change our own implicit biases, and then delve into other areas of cultural competence such as gender bias, disability bias, and ageism. Each of us has a different journey on cultural competency work, and we are all committed to moving forward and learning from each other. Also, since September, our team has been working with the Illinois Department of Public Health to offer COVID-19 vaccine clinics at our West Champaign site in hopes of encouraging more employees and families to receive the vaccination. So far, we've had close to 25 people to receive vaccinations as well as boosters. As for the challenges, COVID-19 continues to impact our program in numerous ways, such as increased food and non-food prices, high gas prices, lack of qualified employee applicants, lower child enrollment, and family enrollment. Like many Head Start programs in the state of Illinois and across the nation, we are struggling with finding qualified staff to fill the teacher and teacher aide positions. At this time, we have 33 vacancies, and most of those are teachers and teacher aides. We believe most of these are due to wages and the amount of stress associated with teaching and caring for children, especially when we are not fully staffed, and the pandemic also increases that stress and concern. Our management team is continuing to work with the Human Resources Department and the union to create recruitment strategies and hopefully draw in qualified candidates to fill the positions. As a result of the vacancies, we still have 5 classrooms that are closed and many classrooms that are not at full capacity. Our current enrollment has reached 74%, with many applicants ineligible because of their over-income status. Over the last several months, I have participated in meetings with other Head Start directors who have the same issues. The Illinois Head Start Association, the National Head Start Association, and the National Community Action have been lobbying support for changes in the income eligibility for families, wages for employees, and the full enrollment expectation as programs are struggling. However, the Office of Head Start continues to have the expectation for all programs to be 100% enrolled by January 1st, 2022, and we are doing our very best to reach this goal. Our team is working with executive management to develop more strategies for addressing the vacancies, wages, enrollment, and financial needs of the program. As always, I will keep you updated, and I do have hopes for a brighter outcomes over the next several months. In closing, I would like to thank this board for your continued support and encouragement, and I wish you all a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Any questions for Brandy?
Mayor, if I may just add a couple things to
Sure.
Brandy's report. And yes, she is correct that the National Community Action Association, of which I'm the chair, has been lobbying the Office of Head Start to certainly move their requirement date for full enrollment come January 1st, given some of the challenges that Brandy has outlined with staffing, as well as still, parents hesitating to send their children to center-based learning. So I will be meeting with Dr. Futrell, who is the director of the Office of Head Start, alongside the other National Community Action board members the week following Thanksgiving. And this topic will certainly be the main topic that we'll be discussing with her, with the hopes that the federal or the administration will take all of this into consideration. This is obviously a nationwide issue, so it's not just impacting, our program here in Champaign. The other thing just to emphasize is the Build Back Better legislation that is still being debated in Congress does contain within it provisions not only to expand early or preschool education, but there's also funding contained within it to enhance Head Start, particularly funding for compensation for Head Start teachers. And so we're hopeful that if that does pass, there will be some additional resources made available to all the Head Start programs to address this compensation issue, which is impacting our ability to attract and retain teaching staff within the program. So thank you.
Any questions for Brandy or staff?
I would just add that the House has just passed the Build Back Better this morning, and they are now voting on the motion to reconsider, and it's going down in defeat in a few minutes. It'll be a done deal at the House.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandy, I wondered, how are they going to address the income issue? Is this due to increase in minimum wage and other factors, or what?
Yes, and within our community alone, this has been there has been a huge impact to our families. I mean, we want them to get jobs, and we want them to hopefully have higher incomes, and hopefully never not to need us anymore. But when they're just right over the federal income poverty level, they're still struggling to pay bills, and everything is higher. It's a higher expense. So this is the federal income poverty level is that's determined at the federal level. We've been lobbying and sharing with our local Head Start Association, but also the National Head Start Association, that are this needs to change. I'm hoping to see some movement at the federal level in the near future. They realize that it's there, and it is causing a disparity for our families.
Can you would it help if we as communities weighed in on this issue, sent letters, sustained lobbying effort? If you can provide an address where it would do the most good, let us know.
I would appreciate that, Mayor Marlin. I can definitely get that information to this board.
And some, some suggested text to go with it.
Sure, absolutely.
Great. Okay, we'll get that out to the board then.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Just a comment to what you had just mentioned, Mayor. Would it be worth the commission considering a resolution or something so that it's coming from all of us collectively as well?
I think so. Any other?
We can definitely draft something for the commission's consideration.
That would be great. Great suggestion, Christopher. Okay, we'll look for that resolution And we as individuals can also weigh in on this as well. This is one of those unintended consequences, which there are a lot this year. Okay, any other comments? If not, we'll do a roll call. Oh, do we need a motion to approve the Head Start management reports?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Moved by Mayor Smith, second.
Second.
Is that Katina?
Yes.
Seconded by Katina. Any further discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Christopher Walton,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Else Wu,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson.
Yes.
I believe Mr. Goss has left. Tom Bruno,
Yes.
Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
Kelly Ray Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Marlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion passes. Next item is, I believe that takes care of all the action items at this point. Next item is the program division updates. Betty.
Sure. So the fiscal team is working hard to close out the FY21 budget, which ends on December 31st. They are also working very hard to enter all of our grants, contracts, and associated revenue and expense line items into the new Tyler Munis accounting system. The intent is for the conversion to occur with a go live date of January the 1st. So there's an accelerated timeline for us to get all of this information completed. That's consistent with the county's plan for a January 1 go live date. That said, we are also running parallel payrolls in order to test the Tyler ExecuTime system. However, there are a number of outstanding issues that may preclude our ability to convert to this new system on January 1st. We are working with the technical support team at Tyler to resolve a number of substantive issues. So we're working hard because the timeline here is really very short. So staff are very engaged in this process. Thank you.
Any questions for Betty?
Hi, Betty, Mayor Smith, Rantoul. Are you finding that Tyler is responsive to your request, or is that a part of the problem?
Betty?
Yes, so we are working with the county, the team, and there are a number of consultants on the Tyler team, as well as the county's consultants, in terms of a comprehensive method to address some of these outstanding issues. And so we're hopeful because the new ERP system really will be very robust. It really will help us in terms of grants management. It'll reduce a lot of duplication and redundancy because the current system, the proprietary accounting system is 40 years old. So this will just be very robust. It will give us lots of opportunities to, provide internal and external reporting in a much more efficient way. But these issues that are outstanding with payroll are critical because we have, over 325 staff. We have staff at the sites with timekeeping systems. And as you all know, with federal and state grants, the very infrastructure of our reimbursements and our billing is, based on reliable time and effort reporting. And so this will be a challenge until we can get some of these issues resolved. So we'll be meeting with the county team, hopefully in the next week, and the Tyler team to again try to address these outstanding issues. I'm confident we can overcome them, but right now it's challenging.
Betty, thank you for your response. I appreciate that.
Any other questions for Betty? Okay, thank you, Betty. Next up is Becky Kruger, Human Resources Director.
She is not here, Mayor.
Okay, I just noticed that already. Well, she's probably buried like every other human resource director in the world right now. So we'll move on to Lisa Benson, Community Service Director.
Good morning. I will start with saying how excited I am to announce that we have now spent the first allocation of our emergency rent assistance. So we have allocated a little over $5.8 million in the community in helping those with rent and utility assistance that have been impacted by the pandemic. That's a big feat for us, and we're celebrating today. And we include in that celebration the community who's helped us to do that, particularly our fiscal staff, the county auditor. They've been impactful in this effort also, and our staff. So I want to quickly celebrate that. With that, we also have, over the last month, made some strides in improvements. Nothing's ever perfect in the work that we're doing, and we strive to continue to improve. So we received feedback in ways that we could better administer the program and have been trying to make efforts towards such. We have created an FAQ. We get lots and lots of calls from the public, particularly those applicants seeking feedback about their applications. So we created a form for our applicants. It's an application determination timeline, so they have that in hand and know what happens next. And then also have created a phone line where they can call. We don't have lots and lots of staff to respond to those calls, but we're doing our best with that. We also have seen in our centralized intake for homeless a large influx of individuals that are being tracked through our centralized intake for homeless. That's particularly a response to some emergency housing vouchers that have come to our community through the Housing Authority. And it's been an expansion for not only those that are literally homeless, but those that are also at risk for homelessness. So we are seeing some larger numbers there as we're reflecting some at risk for homeless individuals. One promising thing, I think, is that as of last week, all of those that were listed or enrolled, if you will, in our centralized intake for homeless housing opportunities priority list, every single household on that list that was literally homeless had been referred out to a housing opportunity for homeless individuals. That is for literally homeless, but I think that also shows how we do have more opportunities right now that exists for our homeless households. So that's a promising report I have also. We too have had some difficulties with staffing. I'm happy to say that we've been making some pretty good progress. Most of our positions were able to staff. All of our operations and community services programming is near back to normal. We're seeing standard referrals and our operations are open. We are providing in-person services. We've added some customer support positions, particularly for phone operations. With so much of the work that we're doing and the assistance that's needed and the need in the community, we get lots and lots of calls and people want someone to respond in person. So we're trying to increase that response and help out as best we can in that way. We also have been there's a couple positions that we've had a hard time filling, but we're working towards that. The other thing that's been promising is the University of Illinois. We have interns often that seek internships, and we're trying to hone in and utilize that resource. Right now, there's a number of community health interns that probably would generally have a lot of internships, maybe in healthcare settings, and some of that is limited. So we're seeing an increased number of interns seeking opportunities with us, and we are going to utilize that resource for sure in the upcoming year. There's an overview. There's probably lots more I could tell you, but that's some of the highlights with our division. If there's any questions that you have or other information I can share, I'm happy to take those questions now.
Mary Alice.
I just wanted to thank Lisa and the staff for continuously looking through and figuring out ways to improve your services. I think that the things that you put in place will really reach more people and provide congratulations that you've been able to spend the first grant. Thank you.
Can you remind us the second allocation that was about, was it 6.7 million?
Yes, Mayor Marlin. I think it was overall over 7 million. However, there's an unknown right now. We received initially about 40% of those funds. We are just beginning to obligate, those funds in rent assistance and utility assistance. And it's unknown to me what the Treasury's intent is when they will release or what they'll do with releasing the remaining funds. So that's a question that I have out to Treasury, and I'm happy to report once I have a response. They, as you can imagine, are inundated across the nation with the work that they're doing. And so our communication with Treasury is actually quite limited.
Yeah. Any other questions for Lisa? I will say City of Urbana is now eligible for close to $3 million in housing related assistance, including rent assistance through the home ARPA funding. So we'll need to coordinate closely with RPC to make sure we're effective in distributing those funds. Okay, Rita?
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to provide an update on the federal funding. The newly passed 1.2 trillion Infrastructure Investment and Job Act will deliver 550 billion of new federal investment to projects over the next 5 years. The federal money will be allocated through a variety of programs. Mostly, those programs will be run by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Some of those funds will be disbursed directly to state transportation agencies, and other funding will be awarded to selected applicants through grant programs. We think that one of those grants will go to the CREATE program in Chicago. However, it is up to the state and local agencies to decide how best to apply for those funds. So far, we haven't received any information from IDOT. We know that some of the money could go out to a state within weeks after the bill is signed into law. It could take months for the Department of Transportation to set up the qualifying criteria to apply for those funds. We are looking closely to that, and we'll keep you informed as soon as we receive information from IDOT if they have set any qualifying criteria to apply for those funds. My advice to the local agencies is to start looking for projects and have those projects ready for funding application. Regarding to C-cards, the Rural Transportation Service, we had to reduce operation due to the lack of drivers. We increased the driver's salary last month to $15 per hour. And hopefully with that, we'll be able to hire more drivers. But last week, we were forced to reduce operations, and this is affecting mostly Rantoul. They were notified, and we just removed one bus in the afternoon. At this time, staff has been very busy working, managing the ARPA funds for the county and also for Urbana. We also have been very busy working on several transportation and planning projects. Currently, we are doing the land use inventory and land use model for the Champaign Urbana area. We are hoping to get that done by August of next year. We are also conducting safety studies at 20 high priority locations in Champaign County rural areas and Champaign Urbana. We are halfway through doing those safety studies. We are in the process of developing a systemic safety evaluation tool. For that purpose, we are working with the Champaign County Highway Network as a demonstration project with Jeff Blue, the Champaign County Highway engineer. And we are in the end process of completing the Florida Avenue corridor study. In January, we are hoping to do the last public involvement process for that project and then provide the final recommendations. And the same as the other divisions of RPC, we have been facing staff challenges. We have lost in 2020 7 full-time staff. Keep in mind that the Planning and Community Development Division is comprised of 20 full-time staff, and we have lost 30% of the staff this year. And the staff of Planning and Community Development is mainly composed of highly skilled planners, engineers, software developers, and GIS people. Has been really, really difficult for us to operate. And we have been overwhelmed working to complete projects on time because we are basically based on grants and we need to complete those grants on time. And we have also been very busy interviewing and hiring. Currently, we have 3 vacancies. It's really hard for us to fill particularly the software development positions because we are competing with high-tech companies that pay really high salaries and with the university. Then we're trying our best to succeed, but we'll see what we can do. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Any questions for Rita? Yeah, what we're seeing is this switch to remote working is people can live here and work for companies anywhere, I suppose literally in the world. So suddenly our labor shed is much larger than it used to be. Yeah. But also the competition is much higher than it used to be.
Yeah, this year we lost staff to Amazon, to Google, to all those big tech companies.
Yeah. My daughter's now working for a company in California, but she lives in Savoy. So
yeah, it's really, really hard for us.
Yeah.
To keep the staff, the high qualified staff that we have.
Okay. Thank you, Rita. And next is Justin Arnold. Is he on today?
No, ma'am, he's not on the call today.
Okay. All righty then. That ends the program division updates. We'll move on to Delizzo's report, the director.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, regarding the challenges that have been shared with the commissioners by the various divisions, we have been meeting as a team to look at different ways to mitigate this. Again, understanding that this is impacting, all organizations and businesses. We're trying to figure out creative ways and maybe rethinking how we do our work. Obviously, the environment has pushed us to do that and to think outside of the box. And so with some of the positions, it is very possible that we may be able to outsource. With some positions, it may be tough not to do that. And so we're really, we've had 2 very productive meetings. We're going to be having a retreat in December, and hopefully we'll have a plan that won't change again since the environment is so dynamic. But we're definitely trying to figure out ways to mitigate some of these staffing issues that are impacting our collective work. The other thing I wanted to highlight, I'm not sure if Lisa Benson had touched on this. I think in previous meetings, we reported that there is also federal funding to provide water assistance. And our agencies, I think allocation for those federal funds is somewhere around $700,000. And so we will be providing that. We just signed the agreement with the state of Illinois. And so those will be some additional resources to assist our communities with water and I think with sewer assistance as well. There's also some state funding, which the regulated water utilities had a bill that passed the General Assembly in this most previous session, and the governor signed it into law, which will provide some additional funding, state funding to provide water assistance. The thing to highlight is the federal water assistance that I talked about is not permanent funding. So I think it's maybe Lisa, is it 1 or 2 years funding for water assistance?
2 years, but I don't anticipate the funds will last that long.
Yeah, 2 years. So the state water funds, those would be in place, for as long as the statute is in place. So it's a small pot of money, but for Champaign, given that we have American Water as one of the regulated utilities that provides services in our area, we have one of the largest allocations for funding. They essentially will be charging a surcharge on their residential as well as commercial and industrial customers. And then those funds would go towards providing assistance to households that are struggling to pay for those services. So that won't take effect until we're still working with the Commerce Commission and the utilities themselves, because while it's supposed to be a state program, the presence of regulated utilities don't really cover the entire state of Illinois. And so we're still working through the mechanics of that, but we anticipate that this won't launch until probably the beginning of 2023. With that said, I think, with my conversation with you, Mayor, yesterday, in preparation for this meeting today, one of the other issues we're having besides the staffing is that there is quite a bit of funding that has been put out by the federal government and to some extent by the state government. And in some cases, the funding is for the same purposes. And so we, see that even within RPC, but I know that even within the various communities, that's definitely an issue where we, begin to cannibalize each other because we're competing for the same services or for the same clients. And so it is definitely critical for us to collaborate and figure out a way for us to work with other organizations that are doing the same work effectively so that we're maximizing our ability to serve the community. So I know that Lisa Benson, particularly her, because she's got most of the funds, we're looking at ways of collaborating and working with other community groups that are doing similar work and sharing information so that, again, we're maximizing what we're doing as organizations. Couple last things. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to attend a webinar that was hosted by the White House. Maybe some of you were part of that. And the purpose of that webinar was to talk about maximizing the emergency rental assistance program and how that program should also be collaborating with the LAHI program, particularly as we go into the heating season. And so we're fortunate that we have both of those programs under one roof, unlike other communities or organizations where they're having to figure out how to make referrals between those two programs. And so, but it was a pretty robust meeting with some governors from other states that were in attendance. But I was, glad to know that we have been doing a tremendous job. And I think, maybe Lisa was being a little bit modest, but we certainly have been leading, particularly in this emergency rental assistance arena in the state and in some respects even in the country, because a lot of organizations have really struggled, especially working with some of the funding entities to deploy these resources effectively. So kudos to her and her team and, receiving the constructive feedback from the community and making the necessary changes so that these services are easily accessible by the community and the individuals that need them. The last thing is we're also working with our congressional delegation to get the Community Services Block Grant reauthorized. That hasn't been reauthorized since 1998. And had meetings this week with Congressman Rodney Davis and Congresswoman Mary Miller's office. We did manage to get Congressman Rodney Davis to sign on as a co-sponsor for that reauthorization bill. And hopefully that will pass at some point in time in Congress. With that said, Mayor, that concludes my oral report to the Commission.
Thank you. Any questions for Delitza?
Yeah, this is Patrick. Sorry, hold on. I might have missed it, and I apologize, but has anyone addressed the audit and where that stands right now? Are we going to have Groundhog Day again this year?
I'm going to defer to Betty because she just had a meeting with the auditor's office on the audit itself. So, Betty?
We don't have a date yet. Baker Tilly is still working on completing field work, and they've not yet done the single audit work at the RPC. So I'm not quite sure where that's going to go.
But just so to note that I think they have until, is it the end of March to complete that FY 2020 audit?
I believe
They
that's
do.
right.
The hope was, however, to get it done early, and that is the normal time frame, which would be December 31st, 2021, so that we would have accurate balances in all of our funds moving forward with this new accounting system. So that piece is pretty critical, but based on what I know from the internal audit meeting this week, I don't know if they're going to meet that December 31st deadline. There are still a number of outstanding issues at the county level, I think. So, we're just waiting to hear back from Baker Tilly. Of course, they were not chosen for, after the RFP went out for a new audit firm, a new independent audit firm. They were not chosen. So Clifton Larson Allen is the next audit firm for the next 4 years for the county. So, they may not be too incentivized to get this done in any quick time frame, although it is vitally important that we have accurate balances at the end of the year.
Any other questions on this report? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on. There's no old business listed under new business. We have one item, which is a closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1 to consider the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, or performance of specific employees of the Champaign County Regional Planning Commission. So can you remind me how the logistics of this will work?
I believe that everyone will leave with the exception of the commissioners, is my understanding from previous year. And correct me if I'm wrong. And then I believe Delitza will leave also, and then we'll call him back. Am I understanding that?
That's
right.
correct. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that reminder. So at this point, we'll need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go in closed session.
Is there a second?
Second, Christopher.
I believe the motion to go into closed session should also specify it's to discuss the performance and evaluation of an employee.
To consider the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, and performance of specific employees of the Champaign County Regional Planning Commission.
Agreed.
Okay. Can we have a roll call?
I'm thinking also, Diane, that it needs to include who's allowed to be in the closed session. So you could just specify commissioners and.
Okay, and this will be for commissioners only.
And the clerk, if we have a clerk, and the clerk.
That would be me.
Yeah.
It's commissioners and the clerk. The rest of the staff will leave the meeting.
And that includes the radio station, am I correct? They would also have to leave?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we don't need to tape the close, well, you're gonna have to record the closed session, but we don't tape it for public.
Yes, that's being recorded. Thank you. Okay, then the roll call is Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Christopher Walton,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Hal Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Bruno,
Yes.
Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
Kelly Ray Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Marlin.
Yes. So at this point, commissioners and the clerk will stay and everyone else will leave the meeting. Thank you.